Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at today's major headlines. Federal government, Japan to unveil $50 million fund for Nigerian startups. National Assembly unveils key reforms in 2026 electoral act. Plus, Iran offers new nuclear concessions to U.S. amid rising tensions. We'll bring you these and many more stories shortly after the break. Please stay tuned. Many thanks for staying tuned. First in the news this morning is that the federal government has formalized the launch of a $50 million Impact Innovation Fund to support Nigerian startups tackling critical social challenges following an agreement signed between the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authorities and the Japan International Cooperation Agency. The signing ceremony held at the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning in Abuja covered the grant contract for the project for the development of supporting environment for startups addressing social challenges. Speaking at the event, NSIA Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer Aminu Umar Sadid described the fund as a significant step for the startup ecosystem, adding that by providing early-stage ventures in high-impact sectors with the capital and support they need to grow, the federal government is enabling innovators to tackle some of the country's most pressing challenges. Meanwhile, the ambassador of Japan to Nigeria, Suzuki Hindo, explained that the project forms part of a broader cooperation package Japan is proposing to Nigeria, aligned with its foreign policy priorities. In the meantime, the federal government has won a $6.2 million arbitration case against an European tech firm, which had taken the Bureau of Public Procurement (BPP) before the tribunal over a national e-procurement project contract dispute. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, described the case as a complex international arbitration that brought another legal victory to the country and the administration of President Bola Tinubu. In a ruling which is final and not subject to appeal, the tribunal dismissed the contractor's claims in their entirety, revealing Nigeria of potential financial exposure estimated at about 9.3 billion naira in claimed payment and damages. From the legislature, the National Assembly has unveiled key reforms contained in the Electoral Act 2026, describing the new law as a major overhaul designed to enhance transparency, strengthen electoral integrity, and deepen democratic governance in Nigeria ahead of the 2027 general elections. The reforms include the establishment of a dedicated fund for the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), mandatory electronic transmission of election results, compulsory use of bimodal voter accreditation system for voter accreditation, and the requirement for political parties to maintain a digital membership register for the conduct of primaries. The leader of the Senate, Okpeyemi Bamidele, disclosed the key highlights of the new electoral governance framework in a statement. This was issued by his Director of Media and Public Affairs, stressing that the law resulted from extensive consultations with stakeholders over 2 years. According to Bamidele, the National Assembly engaged the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, OAGF, INEC, civil society organization, and development partners before harmonizing the version of the electoral bill passed by both chambers and transmitting it to the President for assent. He explained that the President signed the bill into law within 24 hours of its passage to avert a possible constitutional crisis in the build-up to the 2027 general elections, despite concerns raised by some civil society groups over the speed of the assent. He further noted that the act is designed to strengthen institutional independence, improve technological integration, enhance transparency in election management, and reinforce accountability mechanisms in Nigeria's electoral system. Elsewhere, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has said that voter turnout at Saturday's area council elections in the FCT marked an improvement on previous polls. The electoral umpire put the turnout at about 15% of the 1.6 million registered voters. The Commission explained that the final results from Kuje Area Council were delayed because of the difficult terrain in one of the electoral wards. In a statement signed by its acting director, Voter Education and Publicity, Wilfred Ifunge, INEC commended residents of the territory for the peaceful conduct of the elections, while denying that some voters were migrated to other polling units. He said the difficulty experienced by some voters in locating their polling unit was as a result of the splitting of some polling units to allow for better voter access, adding that none of the voters were migrated away from their former vicinity. In a related development, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has described its win of 1 out of 6 area council chairmanship seats in the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) as proof of its position as Nigeria's credible and viable alternative platform. In its first formal response after the elections, the PDP National Caretaker Working Committee (NCWC) highlighted the victory of Mohammed Kasim in Gwagwalada Area Council, alongside the success of several PDP councillors and a strong showing of other party candidates, as evidence of party's credibility as an alternative platform. A statement by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Haruna Mohammed, called for the unity within the PDP and commended the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the police for ensuring a smooth election process. It also urged both agencies to address critical gaps in future polls. In the meantime, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has reportedly arrested 20 suspects for sundry electoral offences in the just concluded Federal Capital Territory (FCT) local government elections. The head of media and publicity of EFCC, Dele Oyewale, announced this in a statement in Abuja, stating that the suspects were arrested across the FCT for offences ranging from vote buying and vote selling to obstruction of officers, involving a total sum of 17.2 million naira. Oyewale further stated that the suspects will be charged to court upon the conclusion of investigations. Let's move now to Africa, where Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has met with the commander of Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces, Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, at State House in Entebbe. In high-level talks, the two men focused on ending the ongoing conflict in Sudan and restoring regional stability. During the meeting, Museveni reiterated his view that sustainable peace in Sudan can only be achieved through inclusive dialogue rather than military victory. He emphasized the need for African-led solutions to African challenges. On the foreign scene, Iran has indicated that it is prepared to make concessions on its nuclear program in talks with the United States in exchange for the lifting of sanctions and recognition of its right to enrich uranium, as it seeks to avert a potential U.S. attack. Recall that Iran and the United States resumed negotiations earlier this month as the U.S. builds up its military presence in the Middle East. Iran has warned that it would strike U.S. bases in the region if it is attacked. According to a report, Iran is offering fresh concessions after talks ended last week, with both sides appearing far apart and edging closer to military conflict. Meanwhile, the White House has not responded to queries on the matter. So on the foreign scene, North Korea's ruling Workers' Party has again chosen Kim Jong-un to be its general secretary. The announcement, which was made at the Rubber Stamp Party Congress in Pyongyang, comes as little surprise given the Kim's family has ruled by dictatorship since the late 1940s. Reports say under Kim's leadership, North Korea radically improved its war deterrence with the nuclear forces at its pivot. Despite long-standing international sanctions, North Korea has continued to build its nuclear capabilities, regularly testing banned intercontinental missiles. According to the report, Kim is expected to announce the next phase of the country's weapons program during the 9th Congress of the Workers' Party of Korea, which began on February 19 and is now in its 4th day. Still to come in the news. Arsenal defeat Tottenham 4-1 in North London derby. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. Let's go over to the concluding parts of today's stories. On the business news, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PEGASON, has renewed its call for the federal government to divest majority shares in the nation's state-owned refineries, urging authorities to adopt the Nigerian LNG model by selling at least 51% equity to core investors. Under the arrangement, the government will retain a minority stake while selling a majority shareholding to core investors. The national president of PEGASON and the Trade Union Congress, Festus Osifo, met the recommendation in a live broadcast. Osifo said the union had consistently canvassed partial privatization of the refineries over the past 2 decades, insisting that government ownership structure had hindered efficiency and commercial viability. Still in business, foreign investment into Nigeria's production and manufacturing sector in the first 9 months of 2025 dropped 54.11%, despite a 131.96% surge in overall capital importation. According to figures from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), the productive sector attracted $463.5 million between January and September 2025, down sharply from $1.1 billion recorded in the corresponding period of 2024. A breakdown of the capital data showed that the manufacturing sector received $129.9 billion in first quarter of 2025, $72.2 billion in second quarter, and $261.3 billion in the third quarter. The 54.11% year-on-year decline in manufacturing inflows came even as total capital importation into Nigeria rose from $7.2 billion in the first 9 months of 2024 to $16.7 billion in the same period of 2025. In health, Lagos State chapter of the Joint Health Sector Unions, Johasun, has suspended the strike following the intervention of the Lagos State House of Assembly. The decision was announced in a statement signed by the union's Lagos State Secretary, Kabawu Golana, who said the suspension followed extensive consultations with relevant stakeholders and labor bodies. According to the statement, the leadership of Johasun reached the decision after engagement involving the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), Trade Union Congress (TUC), the Joint Negotiating Council (JNC), and other professional groups, alongside what the union described as a timely and decisive intervention of the state legislature. Johasun noted that firm commitments were given that all issues raised by the union would receive favorable consideration, prompting the directive for members to resume work immediately across health facilities in the state. Still in health, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has raised an alert over a suspected revalidated first infant milk formula found on sale in Kaduna State. The agency said the product, a 900-gram pack of infant formula, was reported after it allegedly caused stomach problems in a 4-month-old baby who consumed it. According to NAFDAC, a physical examination of the product showed clear signs of tampering. The agency said altering date markings amount to product adulteration and mislead consumers about the safety and quality of the product. NAFDAC therefore urged healthcare professionals and members of the public to report any suspected sale of substandard or falsified regulated product to the nearest NAFDAC office. We move now to sports, where Arsenal delivered a dominant performance to defeat Tottenham Hotspur 4-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Premier League. Arsenal opened the scoring in the first half through Eberechi Eze, who finished confidently after sustained pressure. Tottenham responded in the 34th minute as Randall Kolo capitalized on a defensive error to level matters. However, the visitors restored the advantage before the break and went into halftime firmly in control. Earlier in the second half, Victor Gyökeres extended Arsenal's lead with a well-taken strike from outside the box. As they added his second of the night in the 61st minute, finishing from close range after a swift attacking move to make it 3-1. Gyökeres sealed the victory deep into stoppage time with his second goal, capping a comprehensive display from Arsenal. Still in sports, Claressa Shields defended her undisputed heavyweight crown by beating fellow American Franco Cruz discerned by unanimous point decisions at Little Caesar Arena in Detroit. In her first outing of an $8 billion multi-fight deal, Shields was a 100-90 victor on the scorecards of all three judges, as she retained her WBO, WBA, IBF, and WBC titles. The 30-year-old is unbeaten in 18 professional outings following the 10-round bout, which included plenty of fiery exchanges between Shields and 38-year-old Cruz Duzon. On 9010 News, Nigerian businessman E-Money has unfollowed content creator Kata Efe after he damaged the new car he gifted him recently. According to report, E-Money had during his birthday celebration gifted cars to some Nigerians, including Kata Efe, and the car was damaged during Kata's altercation with popular streamer Bella during a TikTok live. And that's what we have for you at this time. To ensure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 10. Do enjoy the rest of the day. I am Emedion James. Thank you for watching.